Welcome to SOC Radio and Spirit Weavers. Join us as Jody Whitewolf Morrison shares with us her knowledge, abilities, teaching us how it's done, right here on SOC Radio. Brought to you by Spiritualistsonline.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for your time. Welcome to SOC Radio. This is Jody Morrison, your host for Spirit Weavers. Now, Spirit Weavers, as you know, is dedicated to introducing you to some pretty amazing people who are living their life using being spirit, being the spirit they are. And I am delighted to share with you today an absolutely amazing woman. It's not only that she does amazing things, she is amazing. And it is from that all that she does flows. So I'd like to introduce you to Destiny Fae Pleiadian. Destiny, say hi.
Aloha.
Ah, there she is. How are you doing today, Destiny?
I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you?
I'm just great, and I'm so pleased to have you on the show today. You and I haven't had that much time to talk. We've touched in occasionally, but not much time to really just be together and talk. So this is really delightful for me. Destiny, you have said that you have a passion to inspire humanity to their potential. Now, in order to do that, obviously, you have to have some experience of that in your own being. So would you share with us a little bit about how you got to where you are?
Yes, I can do that. Where to begin?
Where to begin?
Well, I think a key aspect of where I currently am is there's a few key points. One is I've always had a core value of authenticity and honesty to the point that I even had tattooed on my arm, be real, be true, be honest, be you. So despite society's way of conditioning us into being the same or being a particular mold, I've always found this, I guess, inner strength to be who I truly am inside. So even if I had challenges along that journey from birth in this lifetime, I've always kind of held true to that being a guiding compass. And another aspect of that for me has been, I guess, probably after a serious relationship that I had from the age of 19 to 24, I decided to go on a radical self-love journey. So being able to truly uncover what it means to love self, and then through that being able to have a deeper level of love for others, because it's been able to teach me so many core values and wisdom through what is important to embodying, you could say, a balanced way of being, and really being able to see those aspects of ourselves that may remain shadows, and being able to come into full alignment to love all aspects of self, I've seen as, I guess, a key part of me coming into who I currently am.
When did you realize, when you were growing up, that I don't know, perhaps one way to language it is that you were a little bit different from the people around you? Was that your experience, that you were a little different?
Quite a lot, but I felt like I've had memories right from as soon as I could understand English and what was communicated around me. Some might say it was the signs of an old soul. I was quite frequently commented by other people and spoken to by my mum, saying that I was very peculiar as a child. Just the discussions that I would have with people were not the typical conversation of what not that children ever really say anything typical, but they were it was kind of like calling upon information beyond what my experience at that age could have really logically given explanation to why I understood. I was always discussing a greater vision and questioning everything and wanting to understand on a really meaningful level. So probably right from the get-go of understanding communication in my own culture and this reality, I was quite aware that I was different. And I feel like part of the reason that I was able to embrace that so much was my star sign is an Aquarius, and that's all about being an individual and unique and embracing that aspect. So it was just naturally something that I was going to have to get used to very quickly.
I find that absolutely amazing. Did you find support from your family for who you really were, or were they kind of like, "Oh, she's strange"?
Well, I guess that's an interesting question, because I like to believe now that we're all supported. So the simple answer would be yes, I was supported, because everything's supporting us. But time through different points in my life, I wouldn't say that I necessarily felt at the time that I was accepted in the way that I would have wanted to be, to feel like it was okay. You could say that it was okay to be that way.
Yeah.
And that was just the societal way that people were told, I guess, in the dualistic way, what's bad and what's good and what's right and what's wrong, and whatever stick of comparison was made. And that to some level there was certain values that I held and moral standpoints that I was more true to being what some people would deem as good. But at the same time, it was then on an individual basis of what somebody wanted someone else to be, about how they felt and about how they got along. So I feel like there's multiple rulers that we get compared to. But I quickly learned that it wasn't about what anybody else thought of me anyway. It was really about what I thought of myself, because when I was on my own and nobody else was around, that was what was important, because that was what was going to guide me. That was what was going to help me do the things necessary to create balance in my life and move forward and achieve the things that I felt I was here to achieve.
I think that is actually quite remarkable that you came in with the strength and the knowledge to know that. There's a question in the chat room, and Janet asks, was it that you felt you just knew things, even things others are now just discovering? You came in knowing that?
I would believe that all children come in with a sense of knowing, whether or not they're listened to or whether or not they have a conscious explanation of that, whether or not they communicated it or not. I feel like I'm what some people might term, I came in as an extrasensory. So I believe that I was channeling. I believe I'm always channeling. Whether or not I'm choosing to speak what I'm channeling is a different thing, or whether I'm tuning it out or not. So when I was quite young, I would read people's minds. I would have these intuitive understandings. I would have premonitions of things. I didn't know what to call those things. I didn't know what the terms of those things were, but for majority of my adolescence, that was something that I had happening, that I thought everybody had happening, because usually what our experiences is at that age, we seem to have some form of belief that that's what's happening with everybody, because that's the only reality that we kind of understand. So I had very interesting dreams, and that was another thing that I would curiously talk to other people about my experiences with dreams, and sometimes they were similar and sometimes there was completely different things I was doing in my dreams that people said, no, I can't do that. That's not normal.
How did you find out that other people did not share your experiences?
Well, it wasn't until I was much older that I realized, especially when people expressed a little bit of shock or skepticism about what I was doing. And then there was a period in my life where what I call is I chose to fall asleep. So, for example, I chose to get a job that I knew wasn't aligned to what I was here to do. I chose to, I guess, make choices that I knew weren't aligned to what my highest good was, that I had been, choosing majority of my life. So in my youth, my teen years, I wasn't interested in chasing after boys. I wasn't interested in following trends. My fashion was like completely different. It was just my own little expression of self. And I would be interested in like writing visions and humanitarian projects and solutions for the world up into my teens. And then when I was, 18, 19, I began to, I guess, not necessarily give in to pressure, but I decided that I would see what it was like to do what everybody else was telling me to do, which was to conform and to go get a job and to go do some studying and to do what we get told we have to do to make money and be, sustainable on our own and take care of ourselves. So I did that for a period of time, and I stayed in a relationship that wasn't really what I wanted or wasn't really for my highest good. And I guess it was all around lessons, but I term it as the time where I chose to fall asleep, and then I knew that there was a point where I'd wake up again. So
you knew that even as it was going on, that this was a kind of a tasting of other people's experience, but you would wake up and get back on your own track. You knew that.
I feel like I knew that before it happened. I don't feel like I was that aware of it while I was asleep in the period. But there is a lot of things that I reflect back on now that I have the way to articulate that I didn't have the way to articulate. I like to refer a lot to some of what Wayne Dyer says in one of Wayne Dyer's books. I think it's called I Can See Clearly Now. And he talks about how even when he was a little boy, he can reflect back to times where he just gets memories of these points in his life where he could see exactly why different events had occurred, like the divine plan of everything, like the choices we made before we incarnated. We kind of like set checkpoints. And I feel like that's what I see. And even when I was traveling around the world, particularly when I was in Kauai, there was all these memories rushing back from these experiences that I had growing up that I could now have a way to articulate that it was related to a parallel lifetime, or that it was related to being like a trigger thing in my life. I chose to be able to remember certain things from beyond the veil. And yeah, it's kind of like just putting all the puzzle pieces together and letting yourself remember and having it just unfold authentically. So I really believe that I know what I need to know when I need to know it, and I know there's a lot to know that I may not be able to compute through this 3D like mind brain. So I kind of surrender to letting myself know and understand things that I'm meant to, and then beyond that, I just wait till I expand to allow, you could say, the teacher to present itself or the memory to come back through again.
So it wasn't really a question that you felt something was missing as much as it was an experience of realizing you knew something more that you needed to take in.
Yeah, something that I also could understand. So in regards to what I was just talking about and the way you're reflecting back, I was reading something yesterday to do with synchronicity. And there's a lot of, obviously, synchronicities happening all the time. And that's like when you begin to notice them, that's the key sign that you're awake to this like divine thread of meaning and purpose and perfection that's throughout everything. And I really believe that that everything is a synchronicity. We're just not completely in awareness of every synchronicity that's occurring.
What I find so wonderful about your experience, Destiny, is that what most people seem to do is they have those awarenesses, as you said, but they allow societal experiences, I guess you'd say, family, friends, school, whatever, to become more important to live with than their own intuitive understandings. And you came in with the strength to not do that.
Yeah, I feel like that must have been part of the set intention. There is a few different awarenesses that I have around why, and part of why I was able to remain in awareness of my purpose, and why I was so committed to understanding and embodying my purpose for being here. And it was something that it was always very important to me. It was a priority to live a meaningful life and make a legacy. And then I began to explore that. And that's, the path of understanding self, and being able to really understand self. You start to understand what your true self is, and you and your connection to spirit and God, and what that truly means, and that you have that aspect within you deeply. So I feel like that was something that I was both fortunate but would have selected before I incarnated. I've had many recalls of parallel lifetimes, and most have been from quite ancient times. So I've been around the block quite a few times in the way of reincarnation. So you could say if I didn't kind of figure it out by now, then I wasn't doing a lot of inner work in my past lifetimes. Are you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. No, now you've cut out again. There we go.
Maybe Destiny, do you want to keep talking, and I'll try and get Jody back? Okay, you're right.
Are you here? Wait, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
We kind of I lost my connection there for a second, but I got it back. Yay!
All right.
Must be the power of what we're talking about that did that for us. Destiny, you used a word to describe yourself that I thought was really interesting. You said that you were a heart-centered soulpreneur instead of an entrepreneur. How did you come up with that? That is gorgeous.
Well, I am not going to take the credit for that one, because I didn't create that word. I'm going to give thanks to the number of other quoted soulpreneurs that I know in the world. I feel like part of my journey has been getting to really learn to associate and surround myself with like people, which is how I came in contact with you beautiful souls. And I have quite a lot of friends who are much older than me, who are in the spiritual conscious community, and being surrounded by people who are all about representing like a heightened vibration. So it's not just about being, in the masses of, which is what entrepreneurialism is becoming, which is very good, but it's about coming from a higher vibration of soul. And originally when I started on the entrepreneurial path, the word entrepreneur didn't really resonate with me. And that's why I was seeking other words. And I always find that because words hold so much power, and I was extremely passionate about communication and the use of words, writing has been one of my methods of channeling and and expression and therapy. So for me, something that was more connected to soul and a key aspect of truth and self was something that was more appropriate.
I think it's beautiful. I've not heard that phrase before, and I think it really, it captures the best of the entrepreneurial model, but brings it to where it should be, which is soul and spirit centered. So I think it's really quite amazing. Now, you did have a management background, and I gather that you brought that with you to the work that you're doing now, because we'll get into this. You're doing so many amazing things.
Thank you.
Does your management background help you manage everything that you're doing?
Well, I think that was just some of my training wheels. I feel like we select different things to happen in our lives and different opportunities. But for me, that wasn't necessarily my goal, but I've always been very ambitious because I've always wanted to expand and to be able to continually grow what my potential is. And I'd come through doing makeup, and it was an interesting experience because in my youth, almost like a premonition, I wanted to work at the particular company that I was training and became a manager at. And they were very, very well known being quite an alternative conscious business. It was a very good model, and the owner of the original business was an activist. And right from my youth, I always had this positive feeling about this particular shop and business, and I'd completely forgotten about it. And it was through a series of synchronicities that I had landed that job. I was working at one company that completely didn't resonate, and very minimally being able to use my studies in makeup, which was my outlet for artistic expression, and being able to help people with self-esteem and to be able to get them to connect to their own creativity and self-expression rather than this desire to look like other people or to feel like they were imperfect, just to be able to create and play. And then through the particular job that I wasn't feeling aligned to, was at a location where there was an opening to work at this other business. Synchronistically, I'm actually currently staying right near where that was. So it's like the closest shopping centre to where I now am. And I was apparently exactly what they were looking for, but I was seeking full-time work because I was living alone and I had a lot of ambitions and a lot of bills. I had a debt that I was paying off for a car. So I quickly got promoted from the casual position I applied for to a full-time position, and it was in one of the keystone or one of the major money-making stores in the country. So I was there and I was available and I was present and I seemed to be what they were looking for. So quite quickly I got promoted through my ambition and my dedication, and I guess just my own zest and commitment. I can be quite a what people say is a workaholic, but I like to use the word play rather than work nowadays because there's less resistance. So I would enjoy being committed to doing things well. I wouldn't be able to do things half-assed. Every time I would say I would do things, I would do it to the best of my ability and grow that ability. So that resulted in me being trained. And then in a very short period of time from starting working from the business, I had started to be trained through their program for management, which is actually created from a coach. One of the coaches was in their personal development area, and she was actually quite intuitive before I had even completely reawoken to these aspects of self. So she was a beautiful mirror to share that with me. And it was a beautiful company to be able to learn. They were very big on personal development. So it wasn't just about being a manager. I was in charge of setting up the different people who are working the day through a particular process that kind of used the parts of their brain to be able to activate and work on their own personal development and help to unlock their potential. And I guess that was where I became even more passionate with doing that, because I was learning key aspects of both business on a new level, because I had studied business through my makeup course and had had my own business on the side doing makeup. And then through that, I was able to use it on a really team-based level, where I was being the leader on one hand, and then I was being the support person to help activate the potential in people. On the other hand, help to train people. And that was just a taste of me feeling confident in what it was I was actually here to do.
So basically, somebody in the chat room asked this as a question, which I think you've really answered, but we'll double check. Janet says, I think everybody or everything we do comes in at some point in the future, that we were meant to learn something so we can bring it into our spiritual lives. And she wonders if you feel like that too. And of course that includes life experience. And it sounds like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, I definitely feel that is true, especially when we're allowing ourselves to surrender to the opportunities that present themselves, because usually, even before we know what synchronicity is, they're synchronistic. They, like many people will say, it just showed up at the perfect time. Well, of course it shows up at the perfect time, because you're there, you're there ready, you're prepared to be able to receive. It's like the teacher showing up when the student is ready.
Yeah.
I recently have been listening to quite a lot of channeled messages from our galactic family and from different beings from different star systems. And one of the things that really resonates that I feel is truth is that it's like we have this energetic spiral around us connected to our multidimensionality, and that in that we've put different etheric things that we would need at different points on our journey, like a suitcase that we carry around. But when we realize that it's there, and when we start to allow ourselves to access it and allow ourselves to receive, these things come into play. And I believe that we all have at different points in our journey different triggers to allowing these things to come through. So different epiphanies and light bulb moments to be able to have that understanding.
So instead, to use your analogy of the suitcase, it's not that you open the suitcase and rummage through to find what you should be wearing that day. It's more like the suitcase pops open and the exact right thing pops out of the suitcase at the exact right moment.
Yeah. I believe so. And I believe, especially when we're tuning into the co-creative ability and the connection to spirit and God and the universe, that we naturally are. It's like removing aspects of the veil to what we really are. It's like if we really sit and ponder and allow the experiences to show that we really are a fractal of God. We're really a fractal of spirit. That in our actual soul essence, not just in the illusion of the body and the vessel that we're in, we really are. And when we I've moved through some mental limitations at times around the belief that that's really possible in our individuality at the same time, you begin to experience and see the truth and the simplicity in that, because it takes away the confusion or the resistance to the magic and the synchronicity, because when you can really feel that, you go, oh, well, duh, if we're all, completely connected and an aspect of God, and we have all of these ideas of what God is capable of, and some of which we see every day in nature, and all of the mysteries and wonderful things that occur, particularly when we're feeling good, then it's only natural to think what is possible in this capacity.
That makes, for me, that makes an enormous amount of sense, because it is a spiral and it is ever opening. And I guess that's why the Lotus has been such a almost a primal symbol of this. It's the more it unfolds, the more we know, the more we know this. When more we sense there is to know, the more we open, the more we take in, and it. I guess it's that trust factor of knowing that your own unfolding brings wisdom that is more important for the individual than wisdom from any other source.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
When we really connect to our source, we have aspects of our own fractal individuality, but the source that we all connect to is the same source.
Yes.
It's just to connect within ourselves, to connect to that source, because that's where its truest vibration is.
That makes sense to me, boy. I want to suggest that we're right on having a break. So what I'd like us to do is to take a break. I'd like to thank the people who were in the chat room, Evergreen and Janet and Silver Moon and others, and to welcome all those who are out there in Radio Land listening in on SOC Radio, on TuneIn, on Shoutcast, the other possible ways people can connect. And to suggest that when we come back from our break, we're going to talk more with Destiny about the ways that all of this is manifesting in her life right now. So, see you on the other side.
We are taking a break for messages from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. Jody Whitewolf Morrison will be right back with more from Spirit Weavers. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our three vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our Spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualists Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on Spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. Advertise with SOC Radio. 10, 15, 20 or 30-second jingles, adverts or promotions, all going out live on SOC Radio. Promote your services, churches, groups or events at the best rates online. Work with us on shows or promotion and you could get your jingles absolutely free. For this and more, contact Julie at socradioshows@gmail.com. Membership on Spiritualistonline.com. Join our teaching Lyceum, classes and courses to certificate and diploma levels. It's an option, not an obligation. Still only £30 per year for unlimited seminars, guest sessions, members' moments, voice members included on radio chats and TV shows, full certificate courses and qualifications, members' promotions of sites, books and services, discounts on SOC services, one-on-one teaching, private classes, members-only Facebook. Upgrade your membership today. Joint family group options. See Spiritualistonline.com. Join us on SOC Radio. Host your own online radio show. We welcome inquiries and ideas for your own show live right here on SOC Radio. Share your knowledge, thoughts and abilities. Bring your ideas to life with us here on SOC Radio and Spiritualistonline.com. Or join any of our shows as a special guest, speaker or presenter. Check out the liveliest spiritual chat show, the Spiritualist Open Circle Panel Forum, a monthly discussion show, or the Circle of Mediums, a weekly show sharing spirit messages and teaching all aspects of mediumship and psychic abilities. Or join our Christina on the monthly astrology show. Contact us now at socradioshows@gmail.com.
SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views, and opinions while endeavoring to maintain our three vital principles of openness, honesty, and integrity. The views of hosts may not be those of SOC Radio, Spiritualists Online Network, and Lyceum, or its associated sites and staff. We stipulate our three principles are paramount, and as such welcome any comments, suggestions, and complaints to assist us in upholding them.
SOC Radio welcomes you back to Spirit Weavers with Jody Whitewolf Morrison.
Go.
Welcome back, everybody. Destiny mentioned in the last half hour synchronicities, and this is just a tiny little example of this. I had mentioned something about Lotus, and Destiny informed me during the break that she has a poem that is about Lotus that she is willing to read and share with us. So I'd like to invite you, Destiny, to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, so I resonated a lot with the Lotus, and I met a beautiful soul on my journeys named Lotus, and it was her birthday. While I was spending time with her, and I channeled a poem called Sacred Lotus Gem. So I'll read that to you. Powerful, sparkly and strong, a noble and delicate shine. Sight feels honour, the path of growth, to triumphant all challenge. A wisdom of nature's love, the path, sanctuary, a vision held, a piece of wholeness. Creation burning bright, trail blaze, a space of greatness, slowly growing, sharing the divine, the sacred lotus, teaches strength, perfection growing, gentle petals, scent of pure, euphoric joy, smile of loving known. A shared closeness deep in your heart, an unforgettable stare, passion and surreal impact. On the path in sight, no turning back, movement and flow, an untouchable essence of sacredness know. Thank you.
That's beautiful. An untouchable essence of sacredness known. That is really beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I think you can see from the beauty and the depth of that poem that Destiny has been bringing into her world from her own sacred essences just an amazing energy. Destiny, would you share a few of the things that you've been doing where you have offered your skills and your knowledge and your ability and your knowingness to bring something fresh into the world?
One of the most recent projects, which was channeled through while I was traveling around the United States, when I was in Mexico, actually, when I was temporarily out of the United States before I went to Hawaii, is the New Earth, New You Now Foundation. And key aspect of the New Earth, New You Now Foundation is a series of summits. And the key goal of the New Earth, New You Now Foundation is to have real earth solutions shared through online summits and workshops, through unity festivals. There is one that I'm going to be launching off in Australia through the Inspire Unity movement, which is a much older project that I've been working on from a vision about 3 years ago. This is also the New Earth, New You Now Foundation has a global change gatherings that is called The Great Gathering, and it's really focused around visionaries and humanitarians coming together to network and celebrate, but to also have a very grounded way of being able to move forward with their projects in collaboration. It's in support of and connection with different eco communities and intentional communities to be able to have spaces for retreats and to collaborate with other businesses and models doing retreats focused on sustainability, global sovereignty, and having at its core radical love and compassion. One of the things that's going to be happening with this soon is the Synchronicity and Magic Summit that we have coming up in about a week's time. And you can search that on Facebook, or you can look up New Earth, New You Now, and it's also on the website, newearthnewyounow.org.
Which brings me to ask you, how can people reach you, Destiny? Do you have a website, Facebook? What's the best ways for people to connect with you?
The best ways for them to connect with me and all the different things I'm doing is there's a Facebook page. At the time there was a website, but it's in an overhaul at the moment. So my Facebook page is Destiny Fae, but I think the Facebook URL actually says Fae of Destiny, like fairy destiny. So if they look up facebook.com/Fae of Destiny, they can find me there, or they could probably type in Destiny Fae Pleiadian and find me on Facebook. Alternatively, my email is inspiredestiny444@gmail.com if they want to email me. Great. If they want to be in touch with any of the things that I mentioned.
That sounds perfect. Say a little bit more. Are these summits and gatherings that you're creating, are they more online, or are they in physical form? How can people participate?
That's a great question. They're both. So the current summits are online. So at this stage, they stream live to Facebook. They're free. And there's been a series. The Magic and Synchronicity Summit is the third one in a series of online summits focusing on real earth solutions and getting the best information to the public and the best people that are leaders in the field. So the first one was the New Earth, New You Now Summit, and that was primarily focused on community projects, sustainability projects for the earth, including free energy resources, and being able to deliver aspects of truth of what's happening in the world, the positive things that are occurring in the world for change and for bringing in and embodying the new earth, both outside of us and within us as well. And the second one was the Divine Masculine and Feminine Rising Summit. And for me, that was very important because to have a unified world, we really need to start with having a whole unified feeling of self, macrocosm and the microcosm of the above, so below, as above, so below. So being able to have speakers, there was both couples and singles that were discussing different aspects from sacred unions and twin flames and sacred sexuality and different tools and different information and truths to be able to help for people to connect to their own unique inner divinity in both the masculine and the feminine, and to be able to have some tools for healing and integration with that. There is also some physical events. So there will be an event happening in Australia at the end of the year, the Inspire Unity Festival, and there will be a series of global change gatherings that are the Great Gatherings. So if people get in touch with me curious, we are looking for more hosts to be able to have a great gathering in their location, and having different visionaries and humanitarians come along using a different collaboration prototypes. So sharing. So we've had a few conference calls that were online versions of these great gatherings, just to get all of the testing done of what's the best way, because it can be so wonderful to collaborate, but at the same time, the focus is around being progressive and being innovative, and not just coming together and speaking about all these beautiful things, which is still important, but actually taking those action steps together. And there has been different points that have created challenges where people have been concerned about ego or rights, or wanting to have their own connection to spirit, that they have channeled their vision as the prime vision. And even in some of the small groups and bigger groups that I'm in now, this can still be a challenge, where some people believe that their vision is the complete vision. And right. I feel like it's an important thing for us to realize we all have our own infinite purpose, and we all have these great visions, especially now that we're waking up to it. And one is no more important than the other. They're all, for me, I see them as golden puzzle pieces that are coming together. So we need to come together and collaborate, and to be able to integrate and connect harmoniously for us to get the greater picture and to have the puzzle complete.
Wow. Somebody just asked if you would repeat your email address.
Sure. So it's Inspire, INSPIRE, Destiny, DESTINY, and then the number 4 repeated 3 times. So 444 @gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Destiny, how in the world do you stay on top of all the various things you're doing?
Well, to distill the essence of what I would say, I've incorporated a few different processes into my daily consistent life. And I feel like when it comes to creating balance, that's what the essential thing is. I like the term "we only have now." So being present and cultivating different practices for presence has been really important to create sustainability, to create integration. So grounding is one of those processes. So making sure that I'm having good, healthy fruit and vegetables, having water, meditating to keep a center in a state of peace. Yoga is a practice that I really love. Being able to connect to my inner child so that I can tap into that energy, that wellspring of energy and new ideas and inspiration. Being able to give gratitude. One of the things that I'm working on at the moment, or playing with at the moment, is a body of work that's called the Ultimate Expansion Journey, that will be starting off in December, and it's actually putting into an experiential journey some of these key things that I have cultivated through my own journey to be able to share with others. And part of that is being able to feel free in our choice and trust our choice and sovereignty. So the part of the process of the Ultimate Expansion Journey is it's customizable, and there is multiple options for people to be able to have an experience for themselves that resonates to them. And gratitude's a key component of that. Radical self-love is a key component of that. I feel like when it comes to knowing thyself and having love, authentic, unconditional love of self and the relationship that you hold with self, I feel like everything stems from that and gratitude. And I feel like they've been my anchors. Those have been the key things that have been able to anchor me into holding on to this level of passion, also riding the waves. You know, there is always the ups and the downs. It's by no means always, happy sunshine and rainbows, although I'm a very optimistic personality. There are times when I do feel the depths of despair that can be out there in the world. I'm highly empathic, and I do feel the enormity of some of the pain and suffering that is out there in the world. And
Yes.
For me, poetry, like I shared, is actually one of my forms of therapy, being
Lovely.
that I'm a cusp Pisces. So I tend to, they say that not only being a water element, it's connected to emotions, but I have read that Pisces tend to feel things much deeper than some of the other signs, even some of the water signs. So there are times in the ups and down cycles when I do feel completely, in a state of some more heavy emotions, and being able to bring myself back to the anchor of self-love and expansion and unconditional love, and use those experiences as a learning, as an understanding more of myself and of this reality, and to be able to find wisdom. I say that in every challenge there is always gems and wisdom that you can hold and you can find, and I usually just be patient with myself and allow myself to move through the wave and to find the wisdom. And writing has been something that personally has been a therapy for me and a very great healer for me as I go through the ups and downs of life. So I suggest finding what that is for you. Dancing is another thing. I feel like any form of creative expression or self-expression is a wonderful healer and a wonderful therapy. So connecting to what it is that you find the greatest form of healing and relief, and courage and flexibility in moving through the ups and downs in life. I feel that that's something that's integral for being able to remain balanced and feeling a sense of equilibrium when everything seems to be like falling out from underneath you. And I know we've been going through some huge energies recently that have been quite intense, that having these tools have been, really important and imperative for me. It was a huge change coming back to Australia after being in Kauai. So I went through quite a lot of integrations that I was really able to call upon all of these different tools that I have